Channel Z and Knox Brew Hub present Knox Brew Radio and Podcast, an in-depth look at the craft beer scene in Knoxville and the latest craft beer news from around the country and all over the world. Brought to you by First Century Bank, family-owned local banking since 1894, and by longtime friends of the show, Grayson Subaru. Broadcasting live from the Hub in downtown Knoxville every Monday at 6 p.m. And now, kick back and crack one open with local beer's best friends, Zach, Ace, and Stryker.
What's up, and welcome to Knox Brew Radio. We're doing it live, as always, right here at Knox Brew Hub, 421 Union Avenue in lovely downtown Knoxville. You might notice a bit of an absence here at the table, but, you know, we've got one poured out for him,
Pour out for our homie.
Yeah, exactly, you know. And there's a chance that traffic patterns may loosen up and he might get here. And if he gets here around halftime, I think we have to call him Bobby Boucher, for showing up at halftime and winning the game for us.
Coming in clutch.
But he would totally never take water over beer. We're talking, of course, about our host, Zach Roskop, who is currently stuck in traffic a little bit north of us. But I am Stryker, and my mama calls me Kevin. And our other co-host right here, Candace, the
everybody.
ace of beers.
Hello, y'all.
Yeah, so I guess we're just going to kind of freestyle it a little bit tonight like we do.
And we also have a man with a mic over here in the corner, our lovely video producer. This is Mr. Cam Molador.
Hi,
That's
thank
right.
you. I'm over here now, and I have a microphone.
See, you got to forgive me because you're directly behind me. I needed like one of those mirror things, at those
like in a convenience store to make sure no one's like stealing
something like
gum.
that, so
Make
I
sure
can
he
keep
doesn't
an
come up
eye
behind
on.
you and shank
So I
you.
can keep an eye on you and Clyde the intern and make sure that I'm not going off the rails and you all are frantically sending me signals.
Yeah. I always frame it up to where you can see me, though, Stryker. It's
Very
important.
conveniently, yes.
We like ourselves, don't we, Cam?
Just a little bit.
I mean, I've seen your TikToks, so
My one TikTok.
you're a fine dancer. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
So we've been away for about 2 weeks now.
2 weeks,
we took a week off. We pre-recorded last week's show 2 weeks ago, and I had a great little week off. I hope everybody did, and you went on a little bit of an adventure, didn't you?
Fabulous week off. I wound up going back to visit my family in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I will say that upon returning, my accent has come back with a vengeance. So just don't get me to say big or B or anything of that nature tonight, but I did bring home a gift for everyone.
What?
Yeah. So I did bring home a beer that we're going to take a sip on in a second, right after I thank our sponsors. So as always, a big thank you to our sponsors of the show. We have Dan at Grayson Subaru. So if you're looking for a new car, please consider Grayson Subaru. And we also have the lovely team over at First Century Bank. As we always say, everyone has a bank, so you might as well have the best one.
That's
so thank
right.
you so much to Grayson Subaru and to First Century Bank located downtown Knoxville.
And wouldn't it be lovely if we had like a street correspondent that could find out more information, maybe do an interview with some of these sponsors?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Wait a minute. That is such a good idea. I think we already have done that with our lovely field correspondent, Mr. Gregory Hedrick. He
He's over
actually
there.
interviewed the good people over at First Century Bank just last week. So if you want to hear all about that and why a local bank would want to support local beer, please check out the Mayor's Report, which is available on knoxbrewstories.com/podcast. There we go.
Sounds
Fabulous.
appropriate.
Yeah.
I also have our first ever live on-air shout-out for our
Patreon.
patron, our Patreon. If you want a live shout-out, all you got to do is contribute $5 to our Patreon at patreon.com/knoxbrewstories. And this is for Ryan Buds of Trivia with Buds.
Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan Buds, you rock, my friend.
He does. He's a great guy, and he does trivia, and he's good at it.
Fabulous.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Ryan.
much.
We
Yeah,
appreciate you.
that, and it may seem like a small thing, but really this adds up because there's actually quite a bit that goes into this little weekly chat that we have about Knoxville beer.
Absolutely.
And we couldn't get the job done without the gear and the personnel that we have. So we thank you so much, Ryan, for contributing to the cause
And for the cost of a beer, too.
Exactly.
You can support us in our dreams of sharing news about Knoxville beer.
And then you can come here and drink beer with us while we do all of the above.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. That's true.
Absolutely.
I shouted that out of habit instead of just saying.
You have a microphone now, Cam. You don't
I
just
know, I
have
don't have
to,
to shout.
He's a
have
real
to holler
boy.
into the ether.
All right.
Oh, and
so-
also, I'm just getting last minute news here.
Yeah?
That we also need to celebrate the fact that we have hit 1,000 downloads
Hey.
on our podcast. So we're really excited at that.
Ding, ding, ding.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, and thank you all that listen every week, and for those of you that can't listen live or can't make it down, we're doing the podcast thing, and then of course the YouTube channel as well. But we're really happy that we've hit the 1,000 mark on our podcast download count. Try saying that 3 times fast, but yeah, that text just came in from Zach because he's listening in the car as he's racing his way here right now.
Well, fabulous. So thank you all for
So-
listening. We appreciate
Yes,
you turning
and
in
shout
your
out to
tweet.
Zach who's listening in the car.
Yeah. Hi, Zach. Hopefully we're doing you proud.
I know him.
All right. So as promised, we do have a little bit of a beer. This is the renowned Spotted Cow from New Glarus Brewing in Wisconsin. And for those who are actually in the audience today, I did bring enough that if you want to try a little sample, just go on over and check out the bartender, Charles. He's a nice dude, my
Check
dude.
him out.
And he is going to be able to pour you a little sample of that. So
Or don't, so I
Yeah.
can have more.
That's true. Yeah. You heard what I'm saying. Thanks, Charles. Appreciate you.
Thank you for
we have
bringing
3
this.
cans left, so if anyone wants some, also you too. Yeah. All right. Cheers.
So yeah, cheers. Oh, that's good. Now, which style is? Tell me a little bit about this
I
particular one.
believe that the Spotted Cow is a cream ale, I think they consider this a farmhouse. But this is going to be super light, easy
Yeah, very
drinking.
light.
This is like the epitome of a lawnmower beer, in
Oh,
my
yeah.
opinion. Like this is the perfect summer beer. You can drink this all summer long.
Yeah, I spent the last couple of hours hanging out in the sun by a pool because today's my stepdaughter's 22nd birthday.
Oh, what's her
so
name?
happy birthday, Chloe.
Happy
I know
birthday,
you're not
Chloe.
listening because you have a DJ by the pool.
That's okay.
But, but I was hanging out over there, so yeah, this is totally like one of those refreshing, direct sun
Mm-hmm.
kind of beverages you can have because you don't want anything that's going to sit too heavy.
Yeah.
and
With that in
drink your
mind,
style.
I did also bring another little special thing that we might crack into later. One of my best friends in the world, James of Three Sheeps Brewing. Shout out to James. Hey, thank you so much. I also picked up a little bit of his beer called The Wolf, which is a bourbon barrel aged imperial stout, clocking in at around
Oh.
13%. So like the exact opposite of this, but
We
pretty
have
fantastic.
to drink it, please.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
like
think we do.
bookends.
I think we do.
Yeah.
I'll drink to that.
Beautiful. I will drink to that. Cheers to that.
Cheers. I already drank all of that, but I got a backup plan over here.
I gotta slow down. This is all I have right now. All right. So, do we want to jump into brew news?
I reckon we might as well.
All right. Well, in this week's brew news, a rancher in Wyoming survived after being pinned underneath an ATV for 2 days by drinking bottled water and beer. Frank Reynolds was rounding up livestock on his neighbor's pasture on Sunday when the ATV he was driving tipped over and landed on top of him, causing him to dislocate his shoulder and break several ribs.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Thankfully, the rancher could reach the bottled water and Keystone Light that he had brought with him and was found the following day when concerned family members and friends formed a search party. Reynolds is in the hospital where he is expected to make a full recovery. So, very grateful that he is okay,
Yeah.
and thankfully
Thank
he had
God for
multiple
that.
forms of water on him to survive.
Yeah. 2 different kinds. Also, I appreciate that his name is Frank Reynolds because I can
yeah.
only imagine Danny DeVito getting trapped under his ATV and It's Always Sunny.
I love that you put a punchline at the end of that, but
I
I'm glad he's
appreciate you.
okay.
Thank you. Thank
But
you.
hopefully this life-changing experience will, maybe, I don't know, maybe he'll stay a Keystone Light drinker for the rest of his life now that it's saved him.
Maybe
but,
pack a snack next time, just in case. You never know. You never know.
You never know.
All right, Cam, do you have an article for us today?
I do, because Zach is not here.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah, I decided, hey, I'll do it.
Thanks, Cam.
Yeah, because it gives me more camera time. I do have Amalie Arena ice shavings from the Stanley Cup Final are brewed into a beer and to be served at select Tampa bars. Today, it says. So we're not there, and okay. But that's pretty cool, right? So as a lot of us may or may not know, the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup.
Hey,
And
good for them.
that happened.
We love that for them.
Coors Light had Amalie Arena shrink shavings transported to its Colorado brewery right after the championship game. Ice rink shavings. They didn't shrink them. I'm blind. And then I looked at it again, and I was like, does this just mean melt?
Wait, yeah, wouldn't it melt down? Isn't it just water?
Yeah, they just brought ice.
All right, cool.
It said, we took the actual ice they skated on and made a limited edition beer with it, according to the company. They melted the ice, filtered the water, and brewed it into a special edition Champions Ice beer.
Ooh.
So it might have a hint of hockey player tooth.
Oh, wow. So little salty? Is it a goza?
Yeah, sure.
What
I don't
they
know.
say?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what teeth taste like.
Okay. All right. And Stryker, do we have a That Damn Seltzer report?
You know we do.
Oh.
I know.
Sorry.
But good news this week.
Really?
And it's a brief report. I didn't really get a chance to do the deep dive that I normally do because, we had a little technical issue there right before the show. All this new gear that I forgot how to work in the 2 weeks that we had off.
That's okay.
But it is good news. The good news is the river has run dry over at Coors Seltzer. That's right. Molson Coors Beverage Company has told their wholesalers that they are discontinuing the Coors Seltzer line of products.
Okay.
And they had just rolled out like this whole new summer seltzer line that was, and they're not the only one. Bud Light, everybody did like their summer series, with their cool tie-dye colors.
They
and
shot
stuff.
their shot,
Yep, but they decided, you know what, we're not going to have any more of this, so they're killing their seltzer line, and for that, Coors, I thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Got to know when to
So-
hold them and when to fold them. And if it's seltzer, please fold them.
Please fold them.
Also, I have to say, just because he's not on camera yet, but will be very soon, Greg Hedrick of the Mayor's Report did a very gladiator style yes.
Yeah, he
Thumbs
did.
up, like yes.
Yeah.
They're dead. They're done.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
I will definitely drink that.
So everyone, raise your glass of beer and cheers to another seltzer being taken off the market.
Yes.
But not that more Molson Coors, they're doing fine.
You know what they say? If he dies, he dies. All right. And as far as the Mayor's Report this week, we are going to be doing a feature on the Blount County Homebrewers Association. So Greg will be releasing that later this week as a podcast. And thank you so much, as always, for your hard work, Greg. We really appreciate you. And we know that a huge part of those viewings that we talked about today, getting to those 1,000 views, have come from you. So thank you so much. We love you and appreciate you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And that's
All
going
right.
to wrap it up for our brew news segment.
Yeah.
We love our beer just like we love our music around here. And so now's about the time in the show that we would, throw things over to our musical director,
And
Stryker.
what do you have for us today?
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's me.
Yeah. Oh.
You know what? We'll jump in
me?
with a little bit of Weezer right here. I don't know if
I
you've
love
heard the new
that.
Weezer album.
Yes.
No.
I love the new Weezer album because it's one they intended to release about this time last year as they embarked on a summer tour. But because of COVID, the tour got canceled. They postponed the album. They actually put out another album in between. But this is one that is called, the name of the album is called Van Weezer. And it was their homage to the 80s rock style.
Okay.
And obviously, with Van Weezer being
I
the
dig
title
that.
of it. But this was the lead single off that. They've had several great singles that you can hear here on Channel Z. This one's called Beginning of the End. It's Weezer on Channel Z. Thank you for listening to Knox Brew Radio.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
We're back here live at the Hub, right here at 421 Union Avenue in beautiful downtown Knoxville, just around the corner from Market Square. And Candace and I kind of flying without normally I guess our driver,
Yeah,
I guess you would
truly.
say,
Yeah.
the host of the show.
Yeah.
And he's driving right now and listening. So, don't get distracted, Zach. Keep it between the lines. Apparently he's trying to work his way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Work his way down here from
Coming in
a
on
little
two
road trip that he
wheels.
pulled, and
Thank you.
and we will see him maybe later on in the show. We'll see. If not, he'll definitely be back next week. But we've got some great guests on the program for you tonight, and one of them is kind of a little bit of brew news to kind of bridge the gap between brew news and our interview segment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm really excited to have Aaron back on the program once again with the latest on the new adventure out west.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I would like to thank Zach for having me on the show. I'm really glad he could make it. I know he's listening in his car. That's why I had to say that.
Oh, here in about 30 seconds, he's going to text something witty back, I'm sure.
I love you, Zach. Okay. So anyway, we've been open for 2 weeks now, Thursday, Friday, Saturday only right now. But our West location is up and running, open to the general public, 20 taps flowing. A lot of our own beers. We have some great local drafts on as well. I've got kombucha, cider, wonderful places to sit indoors and out. We have Smash Burgers, a fantastic food truck that is there all the time.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, absolutely. We're up and rolling. Come check us out.
Yeah.
And so, you had the soft opening, and soft openings can always be, a little bit of a pressure
Soft
test.
openings can be hard, yes.
Yeah, they can. So I just wanted to see how that went before the grand opening. Were you just inundated with the community banging at your door, dying for you to open up?
The cat
I mean,
got
Greg
out-
was probably camping outside for about a week, right?
yeah. Our soft opening was very hard, and not in the sense of difficult. The cat got out of the bag,
Right.
kind of very quickly.
Well, that happens when you post it on social media.
Exactly. No. It was posted on social media because everybody was talking about it.
Oh, gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
So we were just like, okay, well, if everybody in town's going to know, we might as well just go ahead.
Yeah.
So the soft opening was, it was fantastic. Had a few issues with the menu screens and some other things like that, but it really came off without a hitch. It was
That's awesome.
It was really nice. Sales were great. I remember there was a customer there that night, and we were having some issues with the menu screens and a few other little small things. And she was like, "You know what? You had beer flowing, and you had a way to take people's money. Success."
Yeah.
That is absolutely correct. Well, congratulations on the success of the soft opening. And then over the weekend, you had the grand opening. Did you have to make much of a pivot in between? Other than, a couple of little minor snafus, it sounds like everything went off, like gangbusters.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing we added between, that first week and the second is we added a bunch of outdoor seating as well. There's, a lot of small tweaks that were done there. We kind of changed the location of the POS because we realized it would be better if a line formed in a certain place. Things like that.
Yeah.
Little
Things you can't really figure out until you have people in the space and see how the flow of things work.
Exactly, where we wanted the merchandise to go. A few things like that.
Yeah.
But basically, as far as like the functionality and the operation of the place, it's hold on, I'm trying to. Sorry, I was going to say doing well.
Well, great, man.
I was trying not to curse on air.
Well, I'll drink to that,
I
man.
will
Cheers
definitely
and
drink that.
congratulations on the opening of
Cheers.
the Crafty West location. It's been a long time coming, and something that we've all been looking forward to.
You're supposed to cheers it for the
I'm
mic.
trying
They
to.
love the gnat sounds these days.
There we go.
And I will say I was there on Thursday for the part of the grand opening. It was amazing. That space is huge. Love the outdoor seating area. Love the food truck. That Smash Burger was decadent. I could only finish half, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then I was also a conversation that I had with multiple people that you managed to capture the essence of Crafty Bastard. Like Crafty Downtown is such a really cool space that
Yes.
you've really cultivated this amazing vibe. And I think a lot of that goes back to the people as well. You have such a cool staff
Yeah,
that
for
really
sure, yeah.
brings in an awesome energy. But it felt amazing to be able to be in a different location and walk in and be like, yeah, this is totally Crafty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I will tell you, as far as a couple things that I'll touch on what you just said.
Yeah, absolutely.
So first thing, as far as staff goes, Carl Bowers here,
Hey.
Systems Operations
Thanks for
Manager,
joining us,
Head Brewer
Carl.
out West, and Project Manager Extraordinaire of West. His dad and him came in on the second or third brew that we were doing. It was like during the day and stuff like that. And I remember Carl's dad, who is the inspiration and recipe writer of Old Man Bowers Ale, said, "Aaron, I think you're going to be really successful." And I said, "Thank you. Why?" And he was like, "Because you realize what you suck at." And
Okay.
and I
That's
was
an
like,
important piece of knowledge.
yes, yes.
That builds wisdom.
Exactly. Like I have a handful of things that I am very, very good at, and I have many other things that I am not, and I absolutely recognize that. So like, anyway, so as far as the staff goes, we've got lots of different people with amazing skill sets, and yeah, as far as like pulling the trigger and making some big money decisions, yeah, but the core of that place is as much everybody there as it is me. When people tell me like, "Oh, you did a great job," I'm like, "Well, I
was a team
facilitated a
effort.
few things, but like, it you know, it really is Crafty family and Crafty team that did that." The other thing, what was the first point there?
Outdoor seating, the Smash, the food truck.
Oh,
is amazing.
yeah, the outdoor seating, stuff like that. Yeah, the outdoor seating is fantastic. It's kind of like naturally shaded, just like downtown is. And, as far as the vibe, that's
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's definitely a piece of Crafty. It's definitely a piece of downtown in West Knoxville. It definitely is a little tidier, if I can use that. I use the phrase cleaner, and some regulars of ours jumped down my throat. It's like, well, you can't call it cleaner because that means downtown's dirty. And I'm like, I prefer the term grungy, but
Yeah,
kinda.
yeah.
Scruffy.
It's scruffy.
Scruffy,
Yes,
100%.
it is true.
100%.
It's just a tad on the scruffy side.
But
The
yeah,
way we like
for
it.
the listeners who haven't been in, yeah, I mean, just like Crafty Downtown, what you see is what you get. There's not a whole lot of airs that have been put on. It is a comfortable place to sit with awesome people and drink really tasty beer.
And ample parking.
And
Yes.
ample parking.
So much parking.
I could
That
throw
was
a
so
music
cool.
festival in your parking lot.
There are, stay tuned, there will be some festivals in that parking lot.
I love it.
I love to
Now,
hear that.
As a brewer, let me ask you about the transition from going to the limited space system that you had at the original location.
The what in the...
Your brewing system.
Okay.
How has it been as a brewer to move from doing one thing for 5+ years on a same system in a tight space and having to move like working one of those little puzzles
Gotcha,
where you
yeah,
slide
yeah,
pieces
yeah.
around
Yeah.
to now having this system that's just like it's like going from like a love seat to a big couch. you
Yeah,
know?
for sure. I mean, Carl's going to reap the benefits of that as much as anybody. But
Right.
I think no, it's been great. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a brewer friend of mine who described the downtown as the accordion brewery.
Yes.
And he
Right.
goes out. And he goes
Yeah.
in. I know the listeners at home can't see the hand motion I'm making, but
But we understand the accordion reference.
Yes, we brew in about 300 square feet, and nobody can brew in 300 square feet. So we have a little chain. We take it down. I mean, we take over about half of the actual seating area some days, sometimes more, and then put it all back in. So we don't have to deal with that at the West location nearly as much. It's a ton of fun. As far as very interesting thing, and this ties back. I know this is a community space, and this is something where like Knoxville beer is celebrated and given a platform. It's not, at least me personally, is not going to be as big of a learning curve as you might think. The reason why is because the reason we needed this production facility, and the reason we've been able to have the canning, have the West location that we used to have all this stuff, is partly because we've done contract brews. So there's been not a million, but I mean like half a dozen places. We brewed with Clinch River, with Fanatic, with Hexagon, with Next Level, and stuff like that. And so our recipes, we have dialed them up to larger systems in different places. We've done collaborations all across town and all across the region as well.
And some amazing ones at that.
Exactly, thank you. And so, yeah, we've had a lot of experience in taking our beers that have been, really good for a really long time and brewing them on different systems.
So you didn't
Hot
really
candy-
there wasn't a learning curve there dialing in the new larger
Well,
system.
I mean, there's going to be a learning curve.
but I mean, as far as from a recipe standpoint.
Exactly, because we have, hot candy, for example, has been brewed on it's brewed on a 5-gallon at my house years and years ago.
Right.
But it's been brewed on a 3, a 7, a 10, a 15, and a 20 barrel.
Nice.
Moving
Over the
on up.
years, just for different things. So it's-
Consistent growth.
Yes,
So
exactly.
what's next?
sleep. People ask me like, "What's the next project?" And I'm like, "Getting all this up and running,
tying up all the loose ends of the other ones, and then we'll move on to the next one. But speaking of that, before we go much further, because I have other questions for you as well, I want to introduce our other lovely guest that's on the show today. This is Taylor Martin with Walker Brothers Kombucha. So welcome, Taylor. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're sipping on right now?
You guys are drinking Walker Brothers Watermelon Lime High Gravity Kombucha. It's a 5% alcohol. It's made on the same base liquid as our hops and ginger kombuchas, all fermented on a gluten-free beer yeast.
I love that.
I love the
It
smell.
is so refreshing. Like, I couldn't identify what the flavor was when you said watermelon. It's like, oh, yeah, obviously that's what it is. But it's really delightful, really crisp. So I really, and I hate to say this, I really didn't look too much at kombuchas for the past couple of years. The first kombucha that I had was like drinking vinegar. And don't get me wrong, vinegar is delicious. I used to be a kid who would sneak little sips out of the balsamic vinegar bottle. Why? Because it was delicious.
Hey, they say that there's a lot of health benefits to apple cider vinegar as well.
That's true. That's true. So, how would you say that you've seen the evolution of kombucha change for you since you've started working with them?
Well, I mean, honestly, so the Walker Brothers are two good friends of mine, and I didn't really personally drink kombucha at all until probably mid to late 2019 when Sam and Luke were brewing in their basement. I'd become friends with them, and I liked what they were making. It kind of opened my eyes to a whole new world of beverage, non-alcoholic and high gravity. I tasted their experiments, and I would say more than what I saw how it expand outside in the beverage world, I saw what it did to me, and I just told them in September of 2019 when they got legal, and we moved them out of their basement. I was like, hire me when you can. I will sell this for you all day.
Yeah.
And from there, it's been a niche market that has been growing in different ways. And, I'm just really grateful to be a part of this company where we're growing in the more localized regional to the Southeast category. There's a lot of great representation of what we do nationally, but I'm really proud of what we do locally.
Yeah. Well, it is fantastic. It's a wonderful product. And
Thank you.
it's cool to see as well. There are a couple barriers for some people in terms of wanting to get into craft beer, especially if you are gluten sensitive or gluten intolerant. You can't really drink a craft beer per se. So having these options like kombucha and seltzer, that damn seltzer, but to have those options available makes craft beer or craft drinking approachable for everyone.
Certainly.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I've never been one that's very experienced in kombucha in general. I mean, when I first saw it on a local brewery menu board, I just kind of assumed incorrectly that it was primarily an alcohol-driven substance.
Yeah.
And then I found out, so no wonder I'm not getting anything off these. But yeah. So you said that as friends of theirs, and as they were coming up with their experimentation, you kind of saw both sides of it, the high gravity ones as well as the non-alcoholics. How do you, as you start to evolve and learn about it, where's the differentiation in the process to make one or the other?
I was just about to ask that, but I thought you were going to scold me for being too nerdy. So I'm glad you asked it
No, not
first.
at all. I'm totally nerdy too, man.
No, admittedly, because I knew that you would be on the show, I brushed up on the brewing process.
Okay, cool.
I'm honestly I'm just a sales guy, and I know your reputation of being intelligent in fermentation.
See,
so I was
preparation
like,
is everything, even if I don't practice what I preach.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as the high grav's concerned, we use a Kveik yeast, propagated on sorghum rather than barley.
Okay.
And I mean, you can make kombucha out of all sorts of different yeasts for non-alcoholic, and that's really the switch. With the fermentation process to produce alcohol.
Okay, but where is the sourness and the vinegar note coming? So is it a kombucha mother and Kveik yeast?
The processes have changed a little bit, and I want to be very careful as to what might be proprietary. But
Gotcha.
But at the same time, you're feeding tea, scobies, mothers, and so on. But
Okay.
Basically with the non-alcoholic product, which came out before the high gravity, we were really aiming to be a kombucha that was friendly to people who didn't want to drink a more vinegary substance. We wanted it to be less acetic, more presentable and welcoming. And that's honestly, if you taste our we've got non-alcoholic ginger here, as well as our seasonal margarita and watermelon lime. You're not going to have the vinegary experience with what we do. I mean, we make a very friendly product.
Yeah. I would actually almost put this on par if you're like a gluten-free or gluten-reduced, if you really are curious about sour beer. I would almost put this product that you have, the watermelon lime, on par with like a Goza.
Yeah, for sure, and it's gluten-free, I'm sure,
It is.
and yeah, all those kind of things too. So I mean, that checks a lot of boxes. I mean, the question I would have, like, without going like too far into it, like, so I mean, there's acetobacter in this, obviously. There is some notes of vinegar in there. I mean,
Certainly.
without a little bit, it wouldn't be kombucha.
Correct.
Right? And so generally what happens, you have your alcoholic fermentation, and then you have your acetobacter fermentation, which turns the alcohol back into vinegar. Right? And so, anyway, I guess that makes sense that it has less of an acetic note, because if it was more like it, you would actually your alcohol percentage would be dropping.
Correct. And I mean, that's also in line with that thinking, depending on what kind of yeast, whether it's a champagne yeast or a wine yeast, that would then also change.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm also going to do just a little bit of shameless self-promotion. So when we have the buses back for the brew tours, we are going to have Orange Hat Brewing, which does have the alcoholic and non-alcoholic kombucha. So if you're interested in learning a little bit about that, Brandon Smith over at Orange Hat, amazing guy, gave me a crash course in brewing kombucha. So that's information that I would love to share, and love to be able to talk to you both as well to make sure that I am up on that information. So,
And also, if we're both going to be shameless, if you're out at Orange Hat, make sure to stop by Crafty West as well.
Absolutely. Actually pretty nearby. So if we do a West Knoxville brew tour, which is looking very likely, then definitely look to see both Orange Hat and Crafty West on there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have another question for Aaron here. So I really want to talk about the collaboration you did with Ebony and Ivory, just because I've been talking about it all week. So I would not consider myself a very big wheat beer fan, but you've created something pretty magical in the Pollinator, and that uses both locally sourced honey and lavender, correct?
Yeah, the honey is locally sourced. The lavender, we got it from Three Rivers.
Hey, kind of locally sourced.
Yeah. So where it's from, yeah. But the honey is from Clinton, Tennessee. It's Rosecomb Apiaries. Anyway, it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I cannot take much credit for that beer other than tweaking the recipe slightly. But yeah, so Joel LeFew, who's been working with us for a couple years, who's heading up brewing operations downtown, kind of doing some of the more experimental stuff, knew the guys at Ebony and Ivory, and it was like, hey, we want to do a collab. Sounds great. And they kind of came up with this idea to do it. Basically, my only involvement in there was kind of selecting the honey and lavender and kind of getting it to the right proportions
the
and
ratios,
levels.
yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, that was something that was born from them. That's a fantastic beer. It is interesting enough to satisfy the most adventurous craft beer drinker, but it's also easy. It was like 5.1%.
Yeah.
For
Your Earl Grey drinkers, the pale ale,
Yes.
that's like, it kind of makes sense to move over to that one
That
too.
falls in. So that beer is one, and there's only ever two that falls into line to me with like the Earl Grey and the White Arrow. I know some of the listeners, you may not know those beers, but Earl Grey's available generally March to October. White Arrow is kind of like a once or twice a year seasonal, generally in the spring. But both of those are great beers, and as you we were talking one time, and you put in your lovely article that
you.
quote that I came up with. They're the type of beers that reward your attention but don't demand it.
Absolutely.
You know, and getting close to the middle finger to the mundane, but not quite there yet. On those type of beers. But the thing that ties all those beers together is that they are very complex, very unique. And you can pick them apart all you want, but they're also just really tasty, and you can have it with your friends on a patio.
Yeah.
Like that's, I love beers that kind of exist in both realms.
Absolutely. And another question for you, Taylor. So is there a physical taproom location for Walker Brothers in Nashville?
We do not have a physical tap room at the moment. Our goal was mostly for production and distribution right off the jump. We certainly have aspirations, but nothing set in stone. And we'll just kind of, we got legal in September of 2019, and we're alive for 6 months before COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so, sort of out of that, we're pretty open-handed with a lot of things, and grateful for where we are right now. And yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. And how far is that distribution reach then for Walker Brothers?
As of this moment, we are Nashville, a few counties west, all of East Tennessee, North Carolina, New York City.
Oh, wow. New York City, too.
New York
Very
City.
Yeah, we just opened up there with a small distributor called Tap Room, and it's a rad group of people. They are in Brooklyn. They handle Lower Manhattan, and then we do East Tennessee's Littman, Middle Tennessee's Bounty, and then Artisan covers our North Carolina. And it's honestly just a bunch of really cool people that we're just really excited to be working with those guys. They're all extremely kind. I do cover the state of Tennessee. I've helped out some with North Carolina, New York City with Whole Foods and Earth Fair activations and whatnot, but for the most part, that's been my boss, Sam, the older Walker brother, who's jumped in boots on the ground in those places and run that.
Yeah. And I will admit my ignorance in terms of my knowledge base as to what is available in terms of craft breweries and cideries in Nashville. But is there anyone else in Nashville that is making hard kombucha?
Oh, put me on the spot.
We're going to learn together.
To
No.
your knowledge.
Yeah, to my knowledge, no. I mean, there's lots of people that would come up at farmers markets and they'd be like, oh, can I get a mother off of you? Like, can I do? It's like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. Maybe we'll figure it out. That's, no one's really producing. I was stoked to see that Orange Hat is expanding the category.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that there's one here, As far as anybody who's distributing, I'm not aware of anything in the state of Tennessee. I know that there's some people that are making it and self-distributing. But yeah.
Wonderful.
That's awesome. Like I said, it's something that I wasn't terribly familiar with, but the more I try it, the more I really like it. Aaron, you kind of mentioned the acidic nodes that you kind of get, the vinegary kind of side to it, but I love that, and I didn't think I would, to be honest with you. You sometimes you see something a little different, and you're like, you kind of have this mental, presence of mind as to what you're going to think of it early on, but then upon trying it, it kind of wakes up a different set of senses.
Yeah, it's more reminiscent. And by the way, I'm trying this is the watermelon lime. But yeah, a lot of them that I've tried, yours included, are actually more reminiscent to me of a real sour beer, like a barrel aged beer.
Yeah,
if you have like the fruited gozes and like the ones that you see around, and nothing against those beers, but they're tart, they're very simple. The flavors are generally driven by what's being put into them outside of the regular beer ingredients. I mean, they're either heavily fruited, or our pickle beer is an example of that. No plug going in there. But anyway, but these are really, really interesting. I really like what the SCOBY does. I mean, it's a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Has a lot of different microbes producing a lot of different things.
Science.
I mean, I could almost be convinced that this was like a long-term sour beer. So I really enjoy it. Kudos.
Thank you. I mean, honestly, most of us at the company, one of our favorites is what we call hops. We've since renamed Citra. Just dry hop, whole cone Citra hops on our kombucha-based liquid, and that is a lot more reminiscent of a wild sour. Bar none, that's our favorite.
Is that something I can find locally?
Yes,
okay.
But for the purpose of this, watermelon, limes here, non-alc ginger, and margarita.
I want to hunt it down, man. Tell me where to get it.
I'll just get you some.
Okay, all right. Tell the listeners at home where to get it.
I mean, Whole Foods.
Okay, cool, fantastic.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it, and I love when I'm able to expand the horizon a little bit. And let's face it, there's a lot of folks out there that are that listen to our show and our podcast that are kind of walking slowly into the waters of not just craft beer, but things like kombucha and that damn seltzer and so forth. So what advice would either of you guys have to someone that's kind of walking it in, and is there something you want to jump straight to if you want to get deep into either craft beer or kombucha, or something that would be taking, say, a milder approach?
Yeah, I'll let you answer that first. That's more.
So, I mean, kombucha being more of a niche alcohol concept, I mean, a lot of times in my encounters, so when I started right before COVID, during COVID, I was doing farmers markets, and a lot of pushback I would get was, well, I don't like kombucha. It's like, well, there's a lot of great beer, and then there's a lot of beer that maybe you won't agree with and love, but somebody else is probably going to like it too.
Right.
And so subsequently I would say, okay, it's fine. You had a bad experience with kombucha, give mine a shot. And I've converted successfully a lot of people with the non-alcoholic stuff. And then also too, I mean, my girlfriend loves beer, but she doesn't like gluten. It doesn't do good things. So she now, like, when we go to breweries, as much as I love certain places, we'll go to somewhere that she can get our kombucha, honestly. Which, I mean, Nashville breweries have been super good to us. We've got a few here as well that really have shown us some love and picked us up as a great gluten-free alternative to what they make. And definitely tip my hat to anybody willing to put something on that's like not themselves. That's rad. Like, it's great. But I mean, kombucha, there's definitely a barrier to entry of a bad past experience. And
Like mine.
Yeah, it tastes like vinegar kind of thing.
yeah, well,
exactly,
I mean, your family member brought it to Thanksgiving, and you got confused by it and wanted to stay away forever. And we know that, self-aware enough to recognize that that's the barrier to us being successful, and we also want to show you that there's other options out there.
Yeah, if I could give your product a plug really quickly. When I first started seeing hard kombucha, I didn't get it. So as somebody who like drinks beer and wine and other things from time to time, I always liked kombucha. I keep it in my house. I generally have a bottle every other morning or so. But it was always kind of like, this is what I drink when I don't want alcohol, right? And so, like, for me, it just didn't make a lot of sense until I was at a craft brewery with a friend who had gluten sensitivity issues, and nothing against any cideries. I think there's some amazing ciders out there. There's also some very boring ciders out there, in my opinion. And she was like, okay, we'll go to this place. I'll get another boring ass cider. Sorry, excuse my language. They had a Walker Brothers, and she tried that, and she was like, wow, this is like really way more intense, way more exciting. This is a great, great flavor experience. And again, it's not that we were trying to get drunk, but just like, I want to have a few drinks this evening, and I don't want to, I want something that has a little bit of alcohol in it and is really tasty, and I can't drink beer. This works. And I think it's also got enough intrigue that, I mean, I would drink this over some beers that are out there as well. So I really
Absolutely.
like it.
Yeah.
And those that know me also know that I have a great love and passion for non-alcoholic options to be available as well. So with Crafty, you have the spicy ginger ale, which been looking out for that. So spicy ginger ale, and then obviously you have the NA kombucha. Have you noticed a little bit more of an uptick and an interest with that in the markets?
I mean, non-alc is a growing sector.
For sure.
I mean, I have no real educated frame of reference, but I know that just with our sales alone, like there's a tremendous interest with the breweries that haven't brought in our high grab as a gluten-free option. A lot of them have gone to the non-alc as just a non-alc gluten-free option for people that have little interest in beer. And I mean, honestly, I'm a huge fan of our non-alc. I'm a huge fan of what I do. I'm grateful to the guys for the job, but like our non-alc is incredible. And I mean, non-alc is a growing sector, especially, I mean, in January. Sober January was a great month for non-alc stuff. So.
Mine was Sober March A.
If I throw my 2 cents on that, like, I mean, we've made a spicy ginger ale since the beginning. I developed that recipe years before we opened because we kind of wanted to get the name out there, and we would go to festivals where, like, well, you're not an officially licensed brewery yet, so you can come here and do your stuff, but like we can't allow you to sell beer, but ginger ale is just fine. And so I had done that, and so we've had that on tap for years and years. It's great. I remember several times that people telling me like it was either a DD or somebody who was pregnant
Yeah.
or whatever, being like, oh, we got to come in and my wife, instead of getting a Coca-Cola or a glass of water or whatever, got to get something that was made in this brewery.
Yeah.
It got to be a part of the craft experience, and people were like, oh, let me try that. You know how you do when you
And feel like
Yeah.
she belonged, not an outsider looking in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like, I'm a huge fan of tasty things. I'm not always a huge fan of catching a buzz, and so it's an amazing thing. Another quick little shameless
Absolutely.
plug. We've got
Go
what
for
we've
it.
got on right now downtown is our hop water, and it is sparkling water flavored with citra hops, and it is freaking fantastic.
It is. It's so
I'm a
good.
fan of that.
It's like a
I had
seltzer, but
quite a
better.
few of those at your Pride event
Yeah.
a few
Same.
weeks ago, and I got to give credit to David Deibler, friend of the show. He was like, dude, you got to pace yourself. You got to have a hop water in between, every few. And I'm like, in this heat, you're exactly right, my friend. And damned if it didn't hit the spot, man.
Yeah, man, it's a lot easier. Like when you're out, you're out drinking, you're out in the heat, and everything else like that. You're just like, drink water, drink water, drink
Yeah.
water. It's a lot easier to drink your water when it's really damn tasty.
Exactly.
So-
and it
100%.
really is really damn tasty.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks so much for being on the show.
Got that one
you
last
got
question
another-
to do Zach proud. The one question that we've asked every week. Are we going to continue it or no? Since Zach's
You
not
know
here.
what? You might as well.
All right. So we have so far done this for every show. But the question that is always asked is, what is the one thing that you are going to remember, either personally or professionally, that happened during the pandemic that you're going to hold on to? Either one of you can go first.
One thing.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like something that really stands out to you that you're going to look back on that time and go, you know what, I was actually kind of grateful for that.
Like, I don't know. I had
I
the
can-
time to think about opening a second location in West
Yeah.
Knoxville.
No, the reason why I said one thing, I've got a lot.
Yeah.
I will say a couple things. Maybe this will help, like, spark your.
Of course.
I've got a few.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, the one thing that was absolutely incredible, and since I can't narrow it down to one, I'll be quick, is when we shut down, the team, the family. I mean, we fought sometimes. We had to go through some friction and everything else, but it was our little clubhouse.
That's
I mean,
a family.
We had
Yeah.
nobody in the brewery for 2.5 months, and it was we had some ownership changes and a few staff changes, and we got incredibly close. We saw each other's warts and scars, and our team, like the Crafty family, became way tighter after COVID. I mean, we were in each other's biz for like 2.5 months.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely amazing. There were some times where I was frustrated, and there were some times where I went home and cried because I was completely overwhelmed by how awesome the people that I have are, and how much they care about each other and our customers and our brand and everything we're trying to do.
I've said before, I'll say it again, you have an awesome team over there.
Yeah, I do.
All right? You're
And
up.
he makes a really good product.
We make a really good product, yes.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. So, without going too detailed, from January of 2020 to March 13th of 2020, I was just part-time filling in, doing little bits and things here and there. On March 16th, I was supposed to become the Tennessee State sales rep.
Yeah.
Well, we had a private party on March 13th, debuting our high grav. Well, March 16th was day one of shutdown, so I woke up without a job, called Sam and Luke. Sam kind of laughed and goes, go skateboarding for a week, I'll call you Friday. And I was like, okay, well, nobody's
It's not a
got
bad answer.
No, it's not. But I was like, well, nobody's paying me to do that. I'm not 20 anymore. And so subsequently, it just became a rodeo. And honestly, like 2020, where it's like, I saw what Sam and Luke were doing and the team that we were building, and I was like, I have value that I can contribute to this. And so, I mean, you being your position in the company, like, I'm a step or two down from that. And so the different perspective is I'm wanting to build this for these people because I believe in what they're doing. So it's more bottom up than you're top down, and it's not, neither one is wrong. It's just very different. And it allowed me to see, like, with COVID, it slowed everything down enough for me to examine my own vulnerabilities and inadequacies in brewing, in fermentation, in a culture that I knew nothing about, because I came out of construction and was just a fan of beer.
Yeah.
I had no business other than their confidence, and then my ignorant confidence.
But your love and your passion.
Exactly, love and totally, all day long. I'm not going to nitpick little nuances of most beers, but I can tell you if it's good or not. And so it really gave me 8 to 10 months to breathe and examine places that I needed to grow for myself to be more beneficial to what we're doing.
Yeah.
And also build a community. I mean, it's tough to just enter in immediately into the beer culture in Nashville or Knoxville, which this is my hometown.
Yeah.
And showing up here, it's like, I don't know anybody anymore because I've been gone for 10 years. So getting the opportunity to make some friends and build a foundation was beyond crucial for me.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, and I really appreciate you two joining us today. So, Taylor, Aaron, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yeah, and before we step into our next musical break, Taylor, tell us a little bit about how we can find more information about Walker Brothers.
First, I would say come to Knox Brew Hub and buy whatever they're getting from us. Zach is a great person. He's doing amazing work for beer in general. Been here for a while. Instagram at Drink Walker Brothers. That would probably be the best plug. And yeah, just follow us, see where we're at. Sometimes I pipe in on the social media, and you can catch me a little bit. But give kombucha a try is what I would say. It is better than what you had before.
Yes.
It's a lovely slogan.
100%.
Aaron, on the west side of things, and of course your original location as well.
Yeah.
Tell the folks where they can find more about the Crafty Bastards.
Okay. Well, the one thing I would like to say is we're always, at Knox Brew Hub, the home of Knoxville Craft Beer, where it's always 5 o'clock. Anyway, we always have always have something on cask. It's quite often in our Knox Pride. So if you ever do come down here, check out the cask engine. That's something that a lot of people
Which
overlook.
I love.
Exactly. It's the only thing quite like it in town. There's always something crafty, always something good on that. Check that out. West location right now, we're just Thursday through Saturday, 4 to 10 Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday 2 to 10. Downtown, somebody told me to say this. Downtown is still there, open 7 days a week. We are not going anywhere. This is a second location, not a move. Okay, so for all of you who love downtown, if anything's changing about it, it's getting better. There's going to be more experimental brews, more sours on. Monday nights, patio jams, fantastic. Tuesday nights, trivia. Wednesday nights, grenade race. Look into that. That's something that Zach and I developed and is now being ran by Shelby Scott, awesome person who facilitates all that. Cool releases throughout the weekend, and it's just great place. Tons of. If you hadn't been there in a while, we've expanded the outdoor seating. So don't forget about the downtown location. Yeah. It's up and rolling, and then the west location is just absolutely amazing as well. So two locations to serve you, Knoxville.
Well, thank you guys both for being our guests on the show tonight. We've been speaking with Taylor Martin from Walker Brothers Kombucha, and of course Aaron McLean from Crafty Bastard Downtown and West, because they're both still in existence.
Yes, they are.
Only one's new, one not so much. One's a little scruffy. Yeah. Just the way we like it.
Absolutely.
Hey, when we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to tell you about what's this week on tap, some of the events and amazing things going on in the area that you're going to love to hear about. And then, of course, next week on tap, where we'll give you a little bit of a preview of what's coming up next week on the show, when I guess, hopefully, Zach will be home from his road trip by then. Yeah. So, he's got a week. There's a very good chance he'll make it for next week's show. But in the meantime, we've got another song because, we love our music just like we love our beer. So this is one from the new album from Greta Van Fleet. And I love these guys.
I do
They
too.
got that retro cool, Zeppelin kind of sound, which is not an original comment. Everybody kind of thinks that. Even Led Zeppelin themselves chimed in on that. But their new album dropped just a few weeks ago. It's called The Battle at Garden's Gate. And their new single from that album is called Age of Machine.